Hello, welcome to Working Dragon Mystic, where we discuss real metaphysical and occult knowledge so that you can manifest real and tangible results in your life. This week, we're going to be continuing our series on the Goetia with the 63rd spirit of the Goetia, ANDRAS. Okay, so pretty easy name, even for me. Although there's always this thing in the back of my mind that says, even though it's an easy name, what? Somebody's going to say I said it wrong. But at the end of the day, that's a small thing. If you're worried about pronunciations, you're probably worried about the wrong thing. If you're in the ballpark or doing your best, I found that it works pretty well. I've never seen any side effects, to be honest. All right, so you all know this. We throw a nice little pattern through here, easy peasy, and that's what we're going to do. We are recording this live right now in front of the Working Dragon Mystic community, and we will be doing a live Q&A after. For those of you on YouTube and Rumble, you're only going to get to see the information, not the after Q&A. So if you want to take part in that, join us at the Working Dragon Mystic online community. You'll find links below. All right. Or you can find us at workingdragonmystic.com as well. All right, let's get into this. So we always start with the appearance. And this is another one that has a pretty straightforward appearance, and I actually like this one. The Goetia reads as such for his appearing in the form of an angel with the head of a black night raven, riding upon a strong black wolf, and having a sharp and bright sword flourished aloft in his hand. Nice little epic little charging in the battle description for that particular one. I kind of like that one. Now, I'll admit, every time I have worked with this entity, there are a few times I have seen them appear with wings that we would classically assign to angelic figures. Those wings being anywhere from black to white, usually being the colors I see it in. I have seen some in the graying area, which I thought that was kind of interesting that it showed up in gray. I've often pondered if the wing color has something to do with their mood or what I'm working on might affect it. I'll be honest, in all my notes, I've yet to find the pattern, and I'm usually pretty good at seeing patterns. So at this point in time, it's just a random thought. But hey, it may be something for you to consider, okay? But it is a straightforward description. The wolf, I have seen the wolf at his side, and I've seen the wolf, him actually riding it. Sword, usually, I'll be honest, most of the time there is a sword. Though if you're working with this entity for any, like, usually the sword being brandished above, that's usually, if he does it, it's usually only when he appears or at random when he's trying to get your attention. It's not like he sits there the entire invocation going woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. That's not what that's happening. And as far as the raven head, yes, I've absolutely seen him appear with a raven's head. Different stylizations. Sometimes the eyes look like a raven. Sometimes the eyes actually appear to be windows into something else. It's kind of creepy and cool all at the same time. But more often than not, for me personally, he shows up with a human head. So experience may vary, as always, right? All right. Then we get to the associations, and the most common association, Lord knows I can't go through all of them, right? Rank for this particular spirit is a marquise. The metal most often associated with spirit is silver. The planet most often associated with this spirit is the moon. Color most often associated with the spirit is violet. And when it comes to the element, we have a tie, so we had to put both of those in there. Elements most associated with this spirit are air and fire, okay? Which then brings us to, why do you want to work with this spirit? Well, in the Goetia, it says, sows discourse. If the exorcist have not a care, he will slay both him and his fellows. Okay, so basically what we got from that is it causes problems. And it doesn't sound like it does very well for you either. I'll be honest, I've worked with this spirit quite a bit. I've never had any negative effects kick back on me. But then again, I've always treated it with respect. Okay, so there is that factor to take in there. But if you're worried about the kickbacks in any shape, form, or fashion, I'd pay attention. Now, one thing I will say, it says he does not have a care, right? That means pay attention. Think about what you're doing. Don't be stupid. All right. That's a polite way of saying that. So don't go calling this one willy-nilly just for random stuff, or just because you stubbed your toe, or just because your friend stole your pencil, or whatever the hell you may be coming up with, right? That's generally what they're saying there. Now, that being said, though, let's talk about some actual modern uses for this that might be practical, right? Because that doesn't really give us a lot to go on. And it's nice to have actual direct references in modern day that other magicians have had success with. So here we go. First one: aid in overcoming or defeating a large group that you perceive to be an enemy. Okay. That is actually one that a lot of magicians love to work with the spirit with. However, to that, I must add, most always seem to agree. This really seems to work best when a concrete conflict exists between two groups and you wish your group to come out ahead, right? It has to be a concrete issue. It can't be vague. It can't just be your feelings. It can't just be you're upset. It can't be you feel slighted. It has to be a real, actual problem. Okay. So that is kind of the catch 22. This day and age, a lot of things are feelings. And this particular entity, at least in this context, doesn't care about our feelings. So it has to be a concrete problem. It has to be something that actually is concrete and needs to be overcome. All right. Now, the next one: cause conflict between two people, or, well, two named people. You do need their names. Um, I know a lot of magicians have used this for a lot of varying reasons, but you do need the names of the people. You need to make sure that it targets the correct people. And if you do not have a way to identify fully and correctly, it tends to fizzle. Okay. It tends to fizzle rather than target the wrong person. So even though it says two named people, I always recommend here, and many of my colleagues have found this too, get as much information as you can. If you can get the full name and a photograph, that's awesome. That's great. Of course, if you can get a hair or some DNA link like that, hair is usually the easiest. Let's be honest, people shed all the time. Um, Also perfect, but photograph and full name is actually good. Um, Next down, we got cause distrust, jealousy, and discord within a group. Okay, so here now you're focusing on a singular group, not two groups fighting. And in this, you can actually sow discord, jealousy, distrust, all those wonderful things, which is going to weaken a group, right? Um, it can be handy in the right situations. It can. I know people who've used it. That's the best I can say on that. But you have to determine if you wish to use. And of course, always, there is the moral ethical debate. And we could sit here until we're blue in the face. We're all different people. We all have different viewpoints. I guarantee you, if we had an entire discussion on ethics and honor, every one of us would probably find things we see eye to eye on, while every one of us don't see eye to eye on them just as much. Okay. So this is something you have to decide for yourself. And whatever you decide, those are the choices you live with. Whether they have consequences or not, they're the choices you live with. My old mentor said every choice has a benefit and a consequence. Make sure you can live with the consequence. That's kind of how I've always lived my life. I follow his advice. I'm not saying you have to follow his advice, but that was the advice I was given as a young man. Um, the final one is push a group toward mistrust, fear, and even hate of their leader. Now, this one is a targeted version of the second one, because this is one where you're taking a group and instead of just causing random chaotic problems within the group and discord and distrust, you're specifically trying to turn the group against the leader of the group, or the perceived leader of the group, or however you would view it at that time. Again, I know a lot of people who have used this through the years. I hate it, but I have seen people use this in their own covens to try and usurp the coven leaders and stuff. I've seen people use it in business and other things like that, as kind of the same with the first one, right? I've seen people use these. I'm not a fan of these. And it's not an ethical thing for me. It's a I don't know what you'd call it. Maybe it's an honor thing. Because like for me, if I'm dealing with a group, if I'm working with a group through business or something, if I want to be the better business, I want to be the better business legitimately, right? If I want to actually step up and show leadership skills, I want to step up and show leadership skills. I don't want to get anything for any reason out of circumstances that cause problems or could just be chance and or isn't by my actual merit, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So neither of those two are ones I've ever actually used in my personal life. Just because I've never really had that issue, right? I have had issues with groups in my life. There's no doubt about that. I've had issues with groups, but I've always been able to rely on other things. Um, just general understanding, my ability to talk to people, my ability to understand people, or my ability to just not care. Because, in all honesty, many of these groups, like they have a beef with me. I got no beef with them, so I don't really care. So whatever they think about me really never affected me, right? Um, those kinds of things. Now, I have had people ask, so you would never use this? Yeah, I didn't say that. Now, I didn't say that. In the right scenario or in the right circumstance, I might. I might. I might. Let's say they threaten my family, for example. That would be a reason to definitely want to cause them some trouble, right? Maybe I want to cause them trouble, get them distracted before they force me to do something more extreme, right? Because when it comes to protecting my family, my limitations or my the lines I won't cross are few and far between, if there's any that I won't cross. Hopefully, I'm never tested on that one, right? All right. That is really the most modern day ones. Some people, like I said, there are people who love causing trouble, love causing discord. There's some people who will cause discourse only because they think their life is rotten, so they want to make other people's lives rotten. I think that's kind of a shit move, personally, but that's me personally. No, I don't pass judgment. Um, but if you are, I personally think if you're going to cause trouble or cause discord, it should be tactically and justified, in my personal, humble opinion. But that's my opinion, not your opinion. You're welcome to your opinion. You do as you do, right? Um, Pretty straightforward. That being said, though, we'll go ahead for those YouTube and Rumble viewers. We'll get the sigil up here on the screen over my big old face and head. Pretty straightforward, easy sigil, I feel. And for those of you here in the community live, it was the actual thumbnail. So there you go. If anybody wants me to drop it in the chat for any reason while we're doing the live chat, feel free to let me know and I'll try to get that dropped in there for you all. Honestly, that is really it with this one. My personal experiences with this one are few and far between because most of my experiences come from working with other clients, and the spirit has been handy for clients, but not myself personally. I've had some good results with this. But at the same time, the thing that I personally have used most is the conflict between two named people. And I've used that well, literally to cause conflict between two people for mutual benefit of those two people in some cases. For some cases, it's for the client because, well, the big one that comes to my mind is massively abusive relationships. They want the relationship to split, and causing the conflict there can actually help facilitate that kind of a split. Though I'd caution someone because you got to really, really, really examine those situations because the conflict itself could make things worse, and you don't want to make things worse. So this is one, I'll be honest, in my day-to-day life and workings, I just don't work with them that much. All my experience has been either A, for clients, or B, initial path workings through the Goetia and talking with this entity. And one of the things I have enjoyed, and possibly in my mind the best use for this one, is discussing discord and conflict with them and seeking wisdom and understanding of discord and conflict with this entity. They understand it so well. If you're dealing with a conflict, if you're dealing with discord or something, you can ask this entity and find out what could be causing it and how you might remedy it. Is there a way that you could approach a situation differently that would resolve the conflict? That is where I personally have found the best use for this entity when I work with them. And that I think is honestly hands down the best way. It's kind of the opposite of what they're famous for, because they're famous for causing it. But if you understand what causes something, if you understand what keeps bringing it forward, if you understand the mechanisms of what makes it work, that also gives you an understanding of what you might do to do that, to fix that, right? Think of building a fire, right? You got that fire triangle. You need fuel, you need the spark, and you need the oxygen, you need everything going. And if you take one of those away, the fire goes away. Close off the oxygen, no more fire. So kind of the same concept in my mind. I will often backwards engineer the solution by going to entities that specialize in causing conflict. Yes, there's nothing in this guy's particular traditional paradigm that says this entity will help resolve conflicts. I agree. In fact, when you talk to him, he doesn't like resolving conflicts. He likes causing them. So I approach him with the understanding of the cause, the root cause, what fans these flames. If I understand that, when he tells me that information, I use that information to resolve it by taking away what fans the flames. That's how I've handled it in the past. So there you go. That's my 2 cents in it, and my personal experience with them. As like I have before made it slip that I'm trying to shut down a conflict. He does get pissy at that one. He does get pissy and clams up and tends not to want to help or share answers further after that. So be careful how you phrase things on that one. I got to put that out there. All right, everybody, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and start taking some live questions with the Working Dragon Mystic community. And again, if you're interested in joining us at the Working Dragon Mystic community, you can find links below or find it at workingdragonmystic.com. I hope to see you there. It's a lot of fun, and it's absolutely free to join the general community. All right. Until next time, everybody, I'm Drake. This has been Working Dragon Mystic. Take care. Bye-bye.